Good day to everyone live watching the LFC transfer room. Liverpool have finally signed someone. We've finally signed a DM. We've finally signed a centre back, all in one player. Wataru Endo from Stuttgart has officially signed for Liverpool Football Club today on long-term contract, subject to an international clearance and a work permit. Kev, give me your initial reaction to this. Obviously, it was obviously coming. I think the rumoured fee was going to be about £17 million plus £4 million add-ons. Is it a good start to the end of the transfer window?
It's a start in the right direction for me. We've got a player that ticks the boxes on paper. That looks progressively good. Looks like a proper defensive midfielder. Likes to get in and sort it out. So it's a nice start. I hope there's a bit of momentum to this now when we bring in other areas, because we are lacking on probably another midfielder, I would say, and definitely a left centre back as well. If we bring them in, it's a great start to the window. And welcome Endo.
Welcome Endo. See you later, Hendo, and welcome Endo at the moment. What a funny way! What a funny way to have this transfer window at the moment. I mean, just when we got rid of Hendo, Jay, we're getting another Endo in now. How are you feeling, mate?
I'm quite optimistic with it, mate. All the reports that you're seeing from everyone in Germany, they all seem to be raving about him. His stats as well look really impressive. So it's one of them, mate. I think it's a win-win. He hasn't cost much. We probably recoup the money if it doesn't work out. So it looks like a little astute signing, to be honest.
Definitely, with the Japanese fans, we'll get that money back. I saw that through Taki Minamino. I mean, absolute superstar over there. I'm guessing Endo's the same. Japanese fans are so loyal and so fanatic about their players that, you know, these shirt sales are going to go through the roof over there, I think. And I think he's going to be a cult hero, a bit like Enrique, a bit like who else is a cult hero in recent times? You're talking
Eric Meyer,
not Arthur Melo. Yeah. So going forward now, we've finally got a DM, but he's not going to be the future DM, is he, guys? He's going to be like I want to say a stopgap. I want to put that on him, but maybe like someone just to come in and see out maybe Klopp's contract. He's 30 years old, but he's got an engine on him. He could last another 4 or 5 years. So he could be here for quite a while yet. Like Kev said, it's not enough, is it? We need to go get another DM. Having said that, can he do a job right now, Kev, especially on Saturday if he does get the game?
I think Saturday comes a little bit early for me. I think he comes in probably against Newcastle, and I think it's probably wise that we've made an astute sign, and as Jake said, to have him ready for the Newcastle game away, gives him time to settle down and bed in. The great thing for me is he can speak English. I know that sounds a bit naive of me to say that, but the fact is that he can also communicate straight away. Kind of makes me think that, you know, this is going to work. Japanese players, I love Japanese teams, especially in the World Cup. They're very defensive, they're very disciplined, and they're very focused on the job in hand. So it goes right. It ticks all the boxes for me. I think Bournemouth, I don't think we need a defensive midfielder. If you're asking me to come in straight away, I especially with it being at home, I think we should be looking at this on an attacking front, and work from that. We start playing him in this game. I just think it's a little bit early for me to start asking him to come in and do a job where really there will be a low block played against us.
The big question everyone is asking, Kev, I'll let you both answer this one. He can learn English, but can he learn Scouse?
No, mate, most English people can't, to be fair. You go on holiday and you need to come with subtitles and stuff, so no, I doubt it. But that's a good point Kev made about the English, because you've seen how it's affected Darwin. So that is actually an important thing that he's mentioned
there. Going back to his old club, Kev said it, in Germany, they love him over there. I mean, Ian Klopp has already said that people have already contacted him saying, like, you've got an absolute steal there. That's a very good signing. Are people writing him off? All right, I've seen a lot of people writing him off. Personally, I think it's more of a problem with the club itself, Jay, with the planning and things like that. I think this transfer should have come in a little bit earlier this window, especially if he'd been a Milner replacement. I don't know why he's not in for Chelsea. It's beyond me, especially at that sort of price. Are people writing him off too early?
Yeah, I think you've just made a great point. If this Caicedo and Lavia saga didn't happen, and we just signed this lad 2 weeks into the window, no one would be having a go at him and saying this isn't a good signing. I think, the last week's been eventful to say the least, mate. So I think a lot of people are comparing him to Caicedo and Lavia, which that's not the type of signing he was ever going to be. He's here to fill a role like Milner, like Endo, and he's versatile. He can play a number of positions. So there's going to be people who can write him off because he's not a stellar name, but he's not been brought in for that. He's not been brought in to be the main six. And like I say, if he'd been signed earlier, before all the mistakes that have been made over the last week, I think people would be a lot more accepting and optimistic about it. So it's a good signing, mate. It's not as if we spent 50 million. He's cheap.
Kev, do you think there was a possibility of signing him early? And do you think we've made a mistake not getting him in early, especially in like the Chelsea game starting the pre-season at that sort of price? To me, it screams panic buy just because of how late it is. Even though it's a very good panic buy, don't get me wrong. But if this was planned, why wasn't it doing early? Do you think there's an excuse for it?
I tend to agree with what Jay said. It sums it up perfectly. I think ideally, with hindsight, now you'd want him in a lot earlier than what we have done. I just feel because it's so left field, he's. I'll be amazed if anyone's actually got him down on their list of players to come in, and I think it's caught everyone out. I think there's a tendency to be naive with it and think, well, we've got a Japanese player. Well, look what happened the last one. He's not going to do well, etc. It is left field. I would have liked it to come in a bit earlier, but it looks as though we're doing it back to front in a way. We're bringing in the non-main target last, but bringing in our backup in now. It's back to front for me. I'm amazed with what I've seen so far, and that's only on YouTube. And YouTube clips make him look amazing, and for me, it's I would have liked them, and this is the thing for me. You look at it now, and just to back up what Jake said, imagine if he would have instilled himself another pre-season and then played against Chelsea again last week. Do we concede the way in the manner that we do? Do we retain the ball well? Do Chelsea get in the game? They're all questions that we're all going to possibly ask, and especially after his first game, and we see if he does he hit the heights that he did at Stuttgart, and if he does, we've got a player on our hands, and there will be that question that you said, Damo, which is quite right. Do you know what I mean? This should have been done earlier in the window, but I think other things we've had our hands in other places, and they haven't really turned out well. So we've gone back to the one that we thought, well, yeah, go ahead, we'll go for that. But no, I'm happy he's in. It could have been an area, but I'm happy that it's being done eventually. I think for our fans, for the fans' sake, just to see a player being bought now, it kind of settles everyone down and go right sound. So we did, and that's where the momentum comes in. Now let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to the centre back as well. So.
Jay,
I think what you've got to remember as well, lad. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut in on you, but what you've got to remember is we could be doing this as a negotiating tactic. So the other players that we're going for, the likes of Decore, people like that asking for 60, 70 million, they know we're desperate. If we brought him in and he can play that role, we look less desperate. So it sort of strengthens our negotiations, if you see what I mean. So for me, it's shrewd all around, to be honest.
Jay, you said earlier about it not being the key six that we're possibly not going to be the key six that we're going to be getting. But with Jurgen Klopp, I'm going to say what Jurgen Klopp said about him a little bit. He says they have them, they have them, they have them. He's talking about like Caicedo going to Chelsea, Rodri at City, Casemiro at Man United. Do us a favour, give us a second, and let's have a look. Is that a little hint that he could be the main six?
I wouldn't have thought so, mate. I don't think you can go from even the profile of Caicedo and Lavia, the very young players. We clearly long term, we see them as going forward, our main six. He's 30, so I think if he's the main six. And I think that's fair and it's right, because we signed him at the beginning of the season if we felt that he was the man for that job, in my opinion. I still think this is good business, by the way, but I do think it's reactionary.
Yeah. We have always been reactionary rather than proactive, haven't we?
Yeah. For me, it is reactionary, but like I said, I do think it's shrewd business still. And it's good to have experience around the dressing room. You know, this lad's a leader. He's the captain of Japan. He's the captain of Stuttgart. And we've brought in a lot of young lads now in Soboslai. We've got Bezetic. Next season, Thiago will be gone. So you do need that balance of experience and youth as well. So even having him around the changing room will be beneficial. But I'd be disappointed if we didn't get another six, a real six.
The attitude that he comes with, I think is worth the money in gold, because players, again, we go back to Kev said Japanese players earlier. Now they have the right mentality and they're working hard and they look so organised, and that's throughout the Japanese culture. I think how organised people are now, straightforward, how hardworking they are. This is exactly what we're needing for the younger players, like Jay just said, because these younger players are going to be looking up and say, look, if we don't have that attitude, then we're not going to make it as a player. You know, you got likes of Ben Dirk and even likes of Gakpo and Nunes. They're only still young themselves. Yeah. So they're looking up now. You can't have people that just have ability. You need someone that's got hard work and a sensational attitude, as Jurgen Klopp has said in his interview. Lensman said here, Kev, Millie was 29 when we signed him. Endo has some graft as Millie, he'll be brilliant. It's hard to really compare with Millie, though, isn't it, Kev? Because Millie, we've literally had all that experience in the Premier League. His whole career is in the Premier League. So is it a bit of a too much to ask yet of being the Millie replacement, or do you think he can step up?
On playing in the Premier League, yeah, but off the field, no. He is let's not forget, he's the captain of Japan, captain of Stuttgart. So he comes in with those leadership values that were instilled in him, and he will be a great asset for the ones that have left. So it benefits us, even if he can't get it on the pitch. He'll still show the leadership and what's required to be on the pitch. So it'll provide the discipline that's required. It's a bit early to say and comparing to one of the best Premier League players in our era. So it's, you know, but it's there for him to take with both hands, and he's got an opportunity, and what an opportunity he's got. Do you know what I mean? Instead of being at the bottom of the Bundesliga, it's scraping and saving Stuttgart to stay up in the league. He's now thrown himself into a bigger club, and the possibility of playing Champions League football next season for if he can get us there. So it's all good for me.
Coming from the bottom of Bundesliga, like Kev just said, Jay, to one of the biggest clubs in the world at the age of 30 is something. It's very, very rare. It's a very rare commodity. I don't think I've seen it I can't remember seeing it ever, really. Not at that age. You normally get him a bit earlier. Millie obviously came from Man City, so he was already at a big club anyway. Well, I say big club. In eyes, big club. In some eyes, big club. But yeah, going from the bottom of the from the bottom of Bundesliga to Liverpool at that age, do you think he's going to take that chance and grab it? And you know, I bet he didn't even see it coming himself. I mean, he's got to just go for it, hasn't he?
Do you know what I find that advantageous? Believe it or not, he's playing for a team that are used to being attacked constantly, and he's the defensive cog in that. We're not. We're going to be a possession-based team, and I've got a player who's used to being under the cosh constantly, being the defensive unit that he is. So I actually find that's more beneficial for us to sign someone who's been at a struggling side, because he's used to that defensive role and the responsibility of it. So no, I actually think that's more beneficial to sign him in that case. And what you've got to remember is we signed a player here who probably can't believe he signed for Liverpool. He's going to give everything, mate. He's going to probably die for you on the pitch, and that can't be taken for granted. You know, that's priceless. You can't pay for that. So no, very happy.
We've been missing that. We've been missing that effort, haven't we, in the last couple of years?
Massively, mate. You know, massively missing that. So when you've got someone there who's absolutely devoted to playing for you and can't believe it, like Robbo. When Robbo first came in, mate, he could not believe his luck coming to Liverpool. He's probably the most similar player I could say in terms of coming from a lower side to Liverpool. The fans have loved him, mate. The work ethic he puts in, the running he's done for us over the years. everyone remembers that run he's done against City where he clears the whole of Anfield, basically just the whole lap of the whole stadium. Fans endeared to him immediately, mate. And this kind of reminds me of that signing, albeit Robbo was a bit younger, obviously. But it's a player who's dying to play for Liverpool and can't believe his luck, probably, which is only more beneficial for us, mate. And I think the fact he's used to playing at a lower league under the cosh will actually benefit us more, believe it or not.
I think he is going to become like a fan favourite quite quickly, just because of his sheer work rate. That's all we ask for sometimes, is just absolute effort. When you put that red shirt on, the absolute talent that has worn that shirt, you need to be blessed. I think Endo has that sort of humanity to him. I think he's a family man and things like that. So he seems that kind of player to, when he puts that shirt on, he feels the goosebumps and he feels like, I'm putting my all into this. Whilst we are signing a fan favourite, please make sure we are your favourite fan channel. And yeah, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, because we are live every single night, 7:30. We're live, obviously, for you guys now, and the breaking news and a new signing. Podcast is out now. We've got a new podcast with our very own Kev and Richie here with, I think it was it Paul Kahn from the SOS today?
Yeah, it was.
The new head of SOS, which is Shankly Supporters Group, and he goes into quite a lot of depth. I've already been listening to it a few minutes already just before this stream, but I couldn't get it all in, unfortunately. Thank you, Andy, for liking and subscribe. That is amazing. Thank you very much. We are live every night, as I said, at 7:30 with every bit of news, match previews, anything. Tonight, obviously, is match preview for tomorrow's Bournemouth, match reaction tomorrow as well. Going on then, on the signing of Endo, Jay, I'm going to carry on with you. He's took the number 3 shirt. He's happy with number 3 shirt. It's a big shirt to take in it. I mean, it's normally a left back. I usually room it as a left back. It's a big shirt to take in it, and we've been given some big shirt numbers out this season. We've already given 9, 8, 7, 10 to McAllister. Do you think that even inspires me a bit more to even getting that shirt?
I'll be honest with you, mate. I don't care if he's number 99, as long as he puts a shift in and gives it us all. Slack made a good point earlier anyway. He's number 3 for Stuttgart, so I think it's just been a natural thing. Do you know what I mean? He's kept his number. Big boots to fill for Fabinho, yeah, but Fabinho has a lot of people on his back last season. I don't think expectations for this lad is the same as what it would have been for Fabinho. We've seen him as a world-class 6 for 4 or 5 years. Endo's here just to do a job by the looks of things. So, like I said before, mate, he's the Japan captain. I don't think wearing number 3 is going to put him under pressure. He'll be the face of Japan playing football.
We're going to get some... We're going to get some different energy in that midfield. I think we've been lacking so much in that midfield. I mean, even the likes of Jota coming out pre-season saying we've got someone that can pass the ball with McAllister. We've been desperate. And like you said, Fabinho last season, I think he dropped off a cliff. I don't know where that came from on Fabinho. It's a shame we didn't keep him. But I think it is a perfect replacement for Fabinho in terms of that experience last season. Kev, do you think he can step up to Fabinho's role, where I think Fabinho could have taken a back seat this season?
I think what you'll see in this midfield, and especially the forward line, as what Jota said, is you're going to see something different that they haven't seen for quite a few years. You're going to see a player who's hard working, who's got an engine on him, and they're going to be able to see a Ferrari running around that pitch and blocking and getting in front of places than the Robert Reliant that we've seen all of last season. So as well as that, you then got the passing of McAllister and Szoboszlai to forward players. This is a new version, and we can make the comparisons to Fabinho. I'd keep off until we've seen him actually play and give the lad a bit of time to embed himself into this team. If he does come in and starts well, then then we can start making those comparisons. But I don't want to be putting any kind of weight on those shoulders already. The shirt itself alone is going to be heavy enough for him, and let's see how he does. I completely agree with Jay in the fact that he is. It is like Robbo, and it's probably the best way of summing up what Endo is going to be like. And can you imagine that kind of adrenaline and that kind of how he's going to feel the first time he plays in front of of the 60,000 of us at Anfield. It's going to be a joy to watch, and I hope it goes as well as what we all expect it does. And if he does the same job he does at Stuttgart, the engine room in our midfield is going to be really is going to be very fruitful from it. So it's a win-win for me. But I wouldn't be putting the Fabinho on him until we see about 4 or 5 games in for me and see where he is and how he plays. It may be different, you know what I mean? But we'll see. But no, it's great. I'm looking forward to seeing the number 3. The only thing that will be big on him is that it's going to be longer because Fabinho's taller than him, isn't he? So,
although he's actually pretty good at air duels from what I've been seeing.
I believe so.
Air duels, and it
Another
is a proper
5'10".
Yeah,
yeah.
It's basically like it's like a Jota and DM. That's what I think. That's what we're getting here right now. So, and it says here now we can work on let midfielders and forwards do their work. It'll be awesome. We need grafters like that, and you need someone to do the dirty work. If you don't have the players that can do the dirty work, then it doesn't allow the others to do the best work. And with Endo, a signing like this, a player like this, gets the crowd up as well, doesn't it, Jay? And we know how important that Anfield crowd is. And when we get a player that can stick the body on the line and put their effort in, Anfield crowd will go up. Every sort of home crowd does when they get a player like that. How important is that in terms of a signing like this?
Huge, mate, Andy, spot on. I seen a link the other day. I read something about Endo. It was a journalist, and he compared him to Makelele, and that really excited me, mate, because all Makelele's job was to win the ball and go and give it to the players that create. And if that's what his role is, brilliant, because we've got the creative players that we need there in Sob and McAllister. Even Curtis, when he comes in, he's a very creative player. That's why I don't want Curtis playing the 6, because I think you lose that offensive side of his game, which in my opinion is his strength. And yeah, you're completely right, mate. Our fans love to see a proper tackle, running around. Like I alluded to before, Robbo going on that run. And I don't know if you remember, actually, Simicast was ended by the fans when he just wouldn't give a ball up. Can't remember who it was against now. It might have been, I can't remember the game, but I remember.
I do remember this. Yeah.
Do you remember what I'm on about? He lost the ball, but he wouldn't give up on it. He was like throwing his head in, throwing his feet in.
Quite early on as well. That was quite early.
I think it was his first game, and the first game he played, and then straight away fans were on his back, because Simicast is kind of a cult legend as well in terms of the Greek Scouser. So yeah, spot on, mate. When you're doing that type of thing, getting gritty, doing the hard work, fans love that, mate, because that's what you want, commitment and our graft. I think he's going to bring that to us. So yeah, hopefully, mate, the fans get right behind him instead of getting on his back. He's a new signing. He's not 50 million like Fabinho. He's a squad player, so just get behind him.
I know in this country, it's within the culture there where we put our effort in and our work in terms of, like, especially on the football pitch. Even like you've got to watch a Sunday League match, the amount of fucking tackles flying around and everyone breathing out their ass is because they're putting their effort in, and we love that sort of get stuck in sort of vibe, don't we, guys? So
we're a working class city, mate. So seeing players that give that commitment, it's part of who we are, and that's why we can relate to them, and that's why we love them. We're a working class city, and seeing lads come in who graft to the hard yards, that's why we love them, because we can relate to it.
I think we will be loving Endo quite quickly, and I don't think it'll take that long, Kev, for Endo to start loving Liverpool, will it?
No, he won't. And Jay's just summed it up completely. I can't add any more than what he has. A working class city with the ethics and the way this and the values of the club will be cemented within him. It'll be like a hand fitting into a glove. He will relish being part of this team, and especially when he gets that roar and that cheer for making his challenges and playing well. Once he hears that, it's just he's going to feel about 10, 15 foot tall. It's amazing, and I just wish I had an ounce of ability to be able to experience that, because what I hear and feel on in the stands, imagine being that player on that pitch. Do you know what I mean? It'll just make you feel like an absolute giant. And good luck to him. Good luck to him.
He said in his interview that I'm very excited. I can't wait to play with this jersey in front of these supporters, Jay. Can you give him maybe like a little heads up? What are these supporters going to be like for him?
Like I said, mate, if he puts the graft in, he's willing to put himself in a challenge and stuff like that, mate. You know what the Anfield crowd's like. They'll be right behind him. The way we were with, we all love Origi, but he weren't the best player. He just come up with some amazing moments, and that's why we love him. Same with Lucas Leiva eventually. He really struggled, but then he was a grafter, and the fans love him for that. As long as he puts the work in, mate, puts the yards in, is committed to his challenges and stuff, mate, this crowd will get right behind him, and rightfully so as well.
I know my dad always goes back to saying some of his favourite players like Dirk Kuyt and Milan Morris, just because of the simple hard work they put in. I mean, Kuyt wasn't the best technically. He used to score quite a lot of goals because he bug line quite a bit. I mean, taking off Suarez has scored quite a few times, but the graft he put in, Kuyt, it made him the player that he was. Yeah. And those players are so important in a team, especially a title-winning team. A title-winning team. If you want to win titles, you need those ones that are going to put their body on the line. And that's not just at centre-back either. We need someone that's going to be covering the whole pitch. We've got players such as like Salah, he puts his body on the line sometimes as well. But to allow Szoboszlai and McAllister to do their thing, but how important is it to have a DM that's just going to get the ball back as quick as we can, especially in transition? He's not very good at interception as such, but he does get the ball back quite a lot. And how important is that going forward in transition and counter-attacks?
It's going to be unbelievable this season. I'll be honest. If you have someone who can play in that defensive role, defensive midfield, that allows the freedom for McAllister and Szoboszlai to play, oh my God, it's going to be devastating. It's going to be devastating. We've seen already our front three and how well they can play, and in pre-season that everyone's scoring. Can you imagine someone in the engine room just doing their job, passing it, doing and playing it to the likes of them, giving them the freedom to just do what they do best? Honestly, this team could be honestly, this is the only missing link part of the jigsaw that I think would absolutely motivate us and upgrade us to a title challenge, because that's the only bit that is. There's two bits that need to be missing: a left centre back and a defensive midfielder. We've got one of them already. If we notch up the next one, left centre back, it'll be devastating, honestly, and especially against low block teams, because you've got the ability, and even going to United, even going to Arsenal, to have a player of that ability to allow the front and hit them with 5 players who all have the ability and the quality to actually put that ball in the back, and it's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. So I'm really, really fascinated, and I'm really, really hopeful and made up that we've done half the battle already, bringing them in. Let's see what else we can bring in, because this team's look as though it's going to be a dream for me this season.
Just JC said there, 2 weeks left and still would like another DM. What DM stands out for you then? Is it Decore at the top of the list?
No. I put up on my Twitter, mate. I'll have to have a quick look at it, because I literally listed about 10 DMs that we could go for the other day.
It's quite a few. They're all getting mad. They're all signing from the clubs out there, all signing new deals.
But to be honest, mate, I was just hoping Todd hadn't seen the tweet, just so he doesn't buy them all before we even look at them. I like Kakare at Lyon. I like Kone. I wouldn't have said Sangar, but when the lads were showing his stats in the chat, his stats were unbelievable when you looked at them. Yeah. So,
what about Florentino Luis? Is he one up there for you?
Yeah, he's right up there for me, to be honest. He's actually probably my number 1 pick, as Florentino Luis, or I really like Kakare. He's a bit different. But yeah, Florentino Luis, I think, is the most suitable, to be honest.
I think me and you have always been said Kone and Thuram will really get excited. Would they be absolutely ideal, right? Both of them. I'm not just talking about just Kone and Thuram in the door, as well as that experience in Endo. Is that the perfect dream midfield rebuild?
We win the league if that happens. Like, have no doubt. I have no doubt if we signed Kone and Thuram, we would win the league. That's how. I'd be very confident with that. Very, very.
And it's not going to cost that much either, though, mate, is it? If you're talking about 110 million we offered for Caicedo, 40 million, 35 million for Kone, Thuram, 75 million, then that's under 90 million just for them 3.
It's doable, mate. Yeah, I think the Kone price is around 30, 35, and that's euros. It's not pounds. I think the stumbling block with Thuram's wage. Loads of reports he wanted a really crazy wage, something like 230,000, which I agree we shouldn't be paying him that yet. He is still a prospect. He's not the finished article. But I do think he's got a very, very, very high ceiling. Thuram, I think in a year, 2 years, you could be talking 80 million, 100 million, arguably, especially the way the market's going. So I'd absolutely love to get both of them in. Do I think it'll happen? No. But I think we should definitely look at Coney, especially considering the profile he is, his age, and the price. He's a bargain for me, but I think we definitely need another 6, whoever it is.
The Kone situation really it baffled me because they're saying like we didn't go for him because of the injury and stuff like that, but his injury wasn't even that bad. The Thuram thing was, they said wages, but what came out from the club was we bought Soboslai when they're completely different players for a start off. Kev, is there anyone that stands out for you? I mean, Amrabat was one that was coming up, but do we let Man United get him and then we move on to better things?
I haven't really been overly taken by Amrabat.
No.
He had a decent World Cup. I've seen him for Fiorentina in little bits. For me, it's a no for me. I'm with Jay with a few of the players he's mentioned. Kone, Thuram would be amazing. I'm adhering towards the Kore for some reason. I don't know why, but I am. Young player, 23, played in the Premier League, can go straight in, straight away, immediately, can do a job for us. The only problem is that you got to remember with any kind of African and Asian players that there's an Asian Cup in January, as well as an AFCON. So we are going to be losing a few players. Ideally, I think we need to bring someone in January as well, just to provide some kind of cover. And they'll be the ones that I'll be after. I'll be more willing to get the 3 that Jake said initially, which was Thuram and Kone in, because if you bring them in with Endo, wow, what a midfield you've got there, like, do you know what I mean? And ideally I do want a left centre back, whoever that could be, and to sort that issue out, because I do think we rely too heavily on Virgil far too much, and I think we brought him back far too early, and I think we need to be able to have someone there in case he does get injured, because if he is, we're kind of stumped as to who's going to be playing alongside Kanati, because I don't think any of them can actually step up and do a decent job for us, and that's the level that back four has had, that we need to get back to. So for me, Andre from Fluminense, as JC's just put in there, I think that'll be mostly done in January, myself personally, because of what's going on with them in the Copa Libertadores. So, unless I can't see us paying 40-50 million for them, get it done. Just so that he comes in January, do you know what I mean? Then that allows you to free up Thiago potentially to move on if needs be. Gravenberch is another one. I'm hearing things that we've sent people out to Bayern Munich to sort that deal out. I don't know. I'd like to hear Jay's thoughts and comments on that, because I'll be honest. Me personally, I said the other night, the fact that he hasn't played much for Bayern, he may have a high ceiling. If it was from Ajax, I'd be all over it. But there's part of me kind of tentatively thinking about the lack of game time he's had. Or am I being naive with that one, Jay?
The thing with Gravenberch is, lad, not a 6. He's not a 6 by any stretch. So I'm not against the signing, because he's got a massive ceiling. He could end up easily £100 million player, 800 million, I don't know. An £80 million player, 100 million player. He's got a massive ceiling. He hasn't played much at Bayern, but if you watch him at Ajax, mate, he's very, very exciting. So I'm not against that signing whatsoever. I think Klopp could make him a monster, mate, to be honest. He's a bit like what United thought Pogba would be. That's the best way I could describe him in terms of comparable, which obviously we don't want a Pogba. Not the United one anyway. I'd take the old Juventus one. I'd say he's the closest thing I can compare him to for people who haven't seen him. But he is not a 6. So if we are signing him, a 6 has to come in with him. It can't just be Grav. But I'm definitely not against the signing, mate, because he could honestly be a superstar.
We have got over 150 people watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. If you are new to this video itself today, if you have just joined us now, we have just signed Wataru Endo from Stuttgart on a long-term contract, apparently. I know he's 30 years old, but his long-term contract, he seems like a fit and healthy guy. Hard working, he could be here to 5 years, I think, at least. That is subject to due to international clearance and a work permit, by the way. So I think someone put in the chat earlier that will he be able to play against Bournemouth? Probably not, just because we're waiting for the work permit. I think it'll go through, talking maybe at the weekend. It definitely fit for the Newcastle game. It's a tough game to throw him in, though, isn't it, Kev? Newcastle away, Endo, does he go straight into that team then?
It depends how he looks in training, and that'll be down to the Klopp and the coaches to make that decision. I would personally be having him in, not only for the fact of the weaknesses that we do have, and the fact that you've got someone who can come in, and if you do what you say and just say to them, just do what you do in Stuttgart, but just play the ball to that number 8 and now number 10, and let them do the rest. It makes it clear and obvious of what his role is, and just run around like you have been, mate, and just block and cover up the weaknesses that we've got. That's what I'll be doing, unless someone else comes in at roughly now or tomorrow, and we bring someone else in who is our main one. So if we do get the Corey over the weekend, potentially you could be looking at bringing him in. But I would definitely be looking at targeting them coming in against Newcastle, because that is going to be a tricky game. They've started well. They look kind of good, and to cover up the weakness as a stopgap for the minute until we get our main target, and hopefully then it'll make perfect sense to bring them in. But simple instructions. You give that ball to 8 and 10 and just do what you normally do with Stuttgart, and he'll understand that, and he'll come in and do a job for us, and you'll probably see him, and we'll probably go, yeah, we've got a player on our hands. You know what I mean? So that's how I would be looking at it. What are your thoughts, Damo? Would you be playing them against Newcastle?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Look at that midfield, Jay. Bruno Gomes, Tonali, who's coming right now already, Joe Linton. If he comes in and smashes that game, then wow, you know what a player we've got with that midfield coming against him. But if he doesn't, then it's a bit of a tough game to chuck him in, isn't it?
Yeah, there's 2 ways to look at that. You're coming in against a very, very difficult midfield there. It's an absolute workhorse of a midfield, just bags of energy. So if he has a bad game, you might get people jumping on his back and stuff like that. But at the same time, he's the only real 6 we've got. And like Kev said, if he starts well there, already everyone's delighted with him. So he'll have had a full week of training behind him and stuff. And I suppose we just have to trust Klopp in that regard, mate. But Jones is injured now. I'm not too sure how fit Thiago and Baj are yet. So, yeah.
Thiago's in full training, I think. If he's got back, but that was yesterday, I think he did, or maybe Wednesday.
I don't think you want him as a 6 against that Newcastle midfield, to be honest.
Yeah.
That Newcastle midfield's legs, and that's not what Thiago is. It's worth mentioning, by the way, I know everyone's talking Newcastle up after the Villa game. That weren't a 5-1 game. Villa were in there. Just Newcastle were clinical. But Kev's right, that's a really, and so are you, that's a really strong midfield from Newcastle. So might be throwing him in at the deep end, but that's how you learn to swim.
Throw him with no armbands and see how he goes. And like you said, if he performs well in that, what a way to make an entrance. Exactly. I think personally, if I were gonna, I think I'd have to play him just because we haven't got anyone else right now.
Yeah.
And I'd say Thiago hasn't got the legs. Batch, I think it's a bit too young for that sort of thing. It's quite a physical game. We're going to need someone there that's going to be absolute, not dirty, but like getting stuck in. And Endo seems that perfect one. And Mac and Sob get stuck in as much as they can as well, really. So we need. I count Newcastle now as one of them big teams where you need to it's one of them who wants it on the day sort of thing. Those games are going to be who wants it on the day. And if you turn up on the day against Newcastle, I think we can get a win. Even if it's at Newcastle, I still think we can get a win. And Endo, for me, I think could be important to that.
Yeah, definitely. For me also, you look at the away game. It kind of comes in without any kind of expectation on him. No one's going to be expecting much on him, especially against Newcastle. As Jay said, it's a big game. No one's the expectations won't be that high, but they will go up if he has an absolute belter of a game, and it makes perfect sense to at least adapt and try and show, not only show the away fans, but also show us who will be watching what we're actually looking to achieve with this actual midfield. It's a tough place to go at any time at St James's Park. More so this season, the fact that they've got Champions League football early on in the season is probably the worst time I would say I'd want to be playing them. I'd want to be playing them during the Champions League stages, where they're playing week in, week out, and they've got 2 or 3 games a week, just to see how they cope and how they manage with that, and how we rotate that team. But it's, for me, I'm quite happy and quite confident that we will produce. Somehow we always find a way up there, and hopefully that continues. We haven't lost up there for a few years, touch wood. So hopefully that continues, and we see Endo playing the way we expect, the expectation is, and there's an envious look from Stuttgart to say, well, that's what he was doing for us all last year and the year before. And if that happens, the sky's the limit with this team. As I've said before, the biggest thing is it's given the freedom and the chains off the likes of McAllister and Slobbersley in that midfield. Let them just be able to do what they've come in to do, rather than thinking about 3 or 4 other areas that they've had to manage and do. So for me, it could be it'll be a big week for them. Do you know what I mean? And I'm hoping we do go up there and we do get a result. I'm confident we will, and especially with the likes of Jones and Bacesic and Thiago coming back as well at some point. You get them in as well. It's we'll be fine.
What could be overlooked as well, mate, is the fact that Eddie Howe wouldn't have a clue like how to defend against this guy, because he's not well known. He's not like, for example, like Bellingham and Valverde and things like players like that, where people sort of know a little bit about them, don't they?
Do you know what? I'd agree if we were in the 70s or 80s, but there's that much YouTube and social media out there that it's hard not to see any kind of anything on him. So it's not like back then where a player comes in and out, no one has a clue, and people are wondering and scat and on telephones trying to find out about him. There's that much out there at the minute. It's hard not to see anything about him. I didn't know nothing about him 2 days ago, but there's enough input out there and enough on YouTube and enough on Twitter to show you of the kind of player he is and what he can do to this team. Never mind any Stuttgart games that will be watched in the Bundesliga as well. So, there'll be plenty of opportunity for Eddie Howe to try and put plans in place. But it's whether those plans come into fruition. That's the thing that we have to prevent. But no, I'm not bothered. Even if he does find anything, there's no pressure on him. It's his first week at a big club. So, he's already 16 foot high walking into Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? So, it's going to take a lot to break that confidence down. And he will be wanting to prove himself to the fans that, I am 30, but look what I can do.
Eddie Howe's going to be spending the next week and a half now up all night watching YouTube compilations of Endo after that to get some... going on this, Jay, I know it covers your face a little bit. I'm going to go for it first, because I mentioned this earlier about what Klopp said. I think it sort of gives a little bit of a hint to what I said earlier. Klopp's statement at the end of the transfers, it was a double barrel one. He covered himself in no more players coming in. If I'm not optimistic, call me pessimistic or whatever, but Endo sounds like he's number one. I said that earlier, where Klopp, he's not really straightforward what he's saying. He sort of lives little subtle hints that he covers himself on both sides, as it said, that it's sort of double barrel, where they have this, they have this, they have this. Talking about like Rodri and people like that, and give us a chance. He says basically, give us a second. Let's have a look. Could that really be it though with Endo? I know you don't want it to be, but could really deep down could that actually be it? Knowing FSG as you do.
I think it's dangerous to do that. But at the same time, that could be a tactic from Klopp going into negotiations with other teams. Because if you're saying, well, we've got a 6 there and we're happy for him to be starting every week, it's a lot easier to negotiate for other players then, rather than, well, we've brought him in to do the Milner role or the Henderson role, so we still really, really need a first team 6. If you're going with that attitude to a club that is selling, that makes negotiations a lot easier for that club to ask for more money. So it could be a tactical thing. I haven't seen the pressure myself to be able to comment on it, but I think if you only went in with a 30-year-old who hasn't played at the highest level as your main 6, and that's your only option as a 6, I think that's a very dangerous thing for the rest of the season. I'm optimistic about the sign. I'm really happy with him. But I think just him would be very dangerous. And like you've said, the way FSG are, mate, I wouldn't be very surprised. We've had Kabak before, Davis, Arthur, we've got a history of doing stuff like this. So I certainly hope not, mate, because, we put a big bid in for Casado, the money's there, so there's not really an excuse not to bring another 6 in. And I think you should have at least 2 in the squad, because if one gets injured, obviously, what you do then? We've got a lot of games with the Europa League and stuff, so hopefully it's a negotiation stance for going for new players, so we don't look so desperate.
Well, signing the 30-year-old doesn't really look to the future. It might look to the next few years, obviously under Klopp, and if Klopp leaves in 2026, he might stay on. We don't know yet. Let's hope he does. But regarding the next few years, we need someone in there for the next 10 years, don't we, Kevin? It's better to get it now before it's too late. We don't want to use Endo as a stopgap. We're sick of stopgaps. Davis a stopgap. Carback was stopgap. Mello stopgap. Stopgaps don't work, really, do they, Kev?
They don't, but you do need a short-term plan as well as a long-term plan. Sometimes those short-term plans gives you time to pause and look at the alternatives and bring in a long-term plan that's there. I have no problems with the age, and mainly because you've lost a lot of leadership and you brought a leadership in. You brought in a player that has played ridiculous amounts of game time without any injuries. And one of the fundamental things I like about the transfer window so far is that we've got rid of players who were just there for number-wise, just to make up the numbers. And you've replaced them with players that have actual game time, who play over 95% of the time. So it kind of makes sense to me to bring them in as a short-time gap. It's not ideal for some people. It's not the right way of doing it. You bring in your main target first and bring in him after. But for me, I have no problems. We done it with Gary Mack. Gary Mack came in, he was 35. Do you know what I mean? So people tend to forget, like, you don't fall off a cliff at the age of 30. It
Neil
like
Ruddock looked like
most
a 50-year-old at 20, didn't he?
Well, yeah, but that's because of the mentality of the players at the time, and it was a different time, and that's why he was moved on straight away as soon as we changed to this way of playing and the Arsene Wenger style of the way managers manage the team and coach the team. So it was always going to be inevitable. Short-term gaps are not a problem if they're playing and they provide the game time that's required and get you to a level. The players that you mentioned didn't necessarily play, and the games that they did play, well, 2 of them didn't even play at all. One I didn't even think was at the club, which was Ben Davis.
Tall guy.
Exactly. So we talk about stopgaps. This is a proper stopgap. This is a short-term plan, and this allows us time to say, yeah, we're happy with this. And I agree with what Jay said. It gives us more, it puts us more on the front foot trying to bring in other players in than what it would have done if we didn't have anyone there at all, because it looks as though we're desperate. But there's no plan. Every club should have a short-term plan as well as a long-term plan, because sometimes those long-term ones cannot be achievable. So you put something in place that allows you to that provides the actual level of football that you want and the standard that you need, and doesn't drop it, as well as allowing you time to bring in those long-term targets that are necessary for the club to progress.
Sitting there, Jay has already played more minutes on that pitch than Ben Davies ever did. He's now up to 50 minutes at the current time. So I was going to mention this with Chu Chan. Bros, which language do you speak? Can't understand it all. If you want whatever language you want, mate, I will learn it in the next couple of weeks, and we will make sure I get my language skills up for you. Just put in the chat that whatever language you want to hear, whether it's German, Spanish, I'll learn. I know quite a bit of German already. I'm quite good at German, but whatever you want, mate, I can provide. I showed that last night. They wanted a poem. I provided a poem. Going forward, then, I can do that. I can even learn the poem in Spanish if you want me to learn the poem in Spanish. I'll get it up for you, just for you, mate. Thank you, Centino. You became a member last night. Absolutely appreciated, and thank you for joining us today as well. We are live again tonight at 7:30. Obviously, match preview for the Bournemouth game. I'll be hosting the match reaction tomorrow after the Bournemouth game. Hopefully, it's a win. Hopefully, it's a 10-0 win this time instead of 9, because 9's not good enough. And we may see Endo parading around the Anfield Arena tomorrow. The Anfield stand, the new Anfield stand, is open. Just the lower tier for now, though, because people have been leaving. I think Jay's going to get a live reaction now. Has anyone come back yet to the stand yet, mate? Working on it? Are you putting?
No, mate, I was just going through here's a few tumbleweeds and the wind whistling.
I think Endo could be over here just for that alone. I mean, he's a hard worker. We know that already. So he needs to start working on the stand before he gets on the pitch. Just before we go, I'll do another 10 minutes. And just before we go, if anyone is joining right now, please make sure you like and subscribe. Live every night, as I said. And if you are new to this video alone today, we have just signed a player, Wataru Endo from Stuttgart, 30-year-old Japanese midfielder who can play centre-back as well. So if Virgil does go down, we've got a centre-back cover there, just like we did with Fabinho. He's taken them free shirt. He's due to sign with international clearance yet to come and a work permit. So it's likely that he's not going to play tomorrow against Bournemouth, unfortunately. So his first game, if he does start that game, we've been talking about it, would be the Newcastle one, which is a huge match to throw him in. But us here, we want him in. I think we're desperate for that sort of work rate in that midfield, and we know how important that game is in terms of it's fine margins. Those sort of games are fine margins, and you win them off who turns up on the day. Jay, going in forward into tomorrow's game, would you like to see McAllister back at 6, or do you think we're going to be up in that spot up for Endo when he does come in?
Well, Enzo obviously won't be playing tomorrow.
Do you think we're going to get a stopgap in there just for now until? Do you think McAllister go back to his usual place just to get him ready?
Yeah, once we get a 6, yeah, definitely. If you don't, you're losing a lot of McAllister's game. McAllister does a job at 6, of course he does, but you haven't bought him for defensive acumen. You've brought him for his creativity and his press. His press is great. So is Sob, I thought. So yeah, he can do a role at 6, but you don't sign players to do a role. You sign them to play in their position where they play best, and Mac's best position is not 6. Yeah, he can play there, but you lose so much of him. His creativity, it's like we've already been saying all the way through this stream. You need players who do the dirty work to allow your creative players to do what they do. So I imagine Mac will play 6 tomorrow purely out of options.
No one else.
Basically. Yeah. Purely because there's no one else to do it. Unless he brings Thiago in, and maybe see Thiago as a 6, because tomorrow I'd expect us to dominate the game in truth. So I think you could get away with Thiago being there, especially with a low block. Because I imagine Bournemouth are going to play that. So Thiago's the type of player who can open up the defence. A lot of creativity in the midfield if we have Thiago, Sob and Mac. But obviously it depends how Klopp sees it. I don't know how fit Thiago is, whether he can come straight into the side yet. So yeah, mate, until Enzo can play or we get another 6, I'd have thought Mac will still be taking up that role, I imagine.
Kev, we've gone from one captain Hendo to another captain in Endo. Does Endo take over Hendo's legacy?
Oh, I think it's
If
a bit early.
If he wins 2 titles,
I think it's hard to do that. I think the kind of player that Hendo was, and the loving that we had a few months ago about what Hendo was brought to this team and the values he's instilled off the pitch. He'd have to win the league. It's hard to put someone's legacy up for someone who's only just signed a 3-year deal. It's very hard for him to actually reach those levels. His captaincy, we will see what kind of leader he is when he plays, and take it from there. But I think it's hard to start stamping on someone's legacy, which was so big at the club, and a lot of people still believe is it's hard to think this, but some people actually do think that he's a better captain than what Gerrard is. But that's a debate and a topic for another day. Not for me, but I think what he's done off the pitch cannot be underrated. I can't see Endo coming in and slapping himself down and going, right now I'm the new skipper here. I'm your number 6. I'm the one that you wanted. Give me that armband. It's mine. I can't see it being that case. So, he'll show the leadership skills that Klopp will want, and he will show it in his way, his discipline, and in his training. And he'll be an integral part for the likes of the youngsters to look at, to show that if you do have the commitment, the discipline, and if you want to be a leader, then follow him, because it'll be quality. So I think it's a bit of a question that you can't put on Endo, sadly. Sorry, Damo. Do you think he could?
He's only banter anyway. It was only banter anyway. He's already taken over Hendo already for me. Centeno, I just want to say thank you for your chats. Helped me through the lesson plan as I get ready back to school. Yeah, no, I'm getting ready myself. I work in school myself, so getting ready to go back to the classroom. I didn't want to be reminded. I didn't want to be reminded, but here we are. We've got a few weeks left now until the summer. I've been enjoying it, but Liverpool's tried to make my summer a bit fit, but yeah, it's not working for me. Going into the last 5 minutes, then Jay. Endo in the Newcastle game, with Endo available, is there a chance that Thiago does play that game because of experience, or do you think, like you said earlier, that his legs just don't trust it into that? We need that energy, don't we?
We haven't got the best out of Thiago purely because of how much we make him run. That's not his game. He's actually said in an interview himself, my game isn't running around the pitch like a madman. He's there to control games. It's not that he can't play against Newcastle, but that Newcastle midfield is an absolute engine, mate. A workhorse. You've got Joe Linton, Bruno, and Tonali. Like, all of them will run marathons for you. I think Thiago's legs probably aren't best suited for that type of game. So I think you're right, actually, mate. When I'm thinking about it now, I think I'd throw Enzo straight in, because we're going to need them legs. The two front lads, the pressure's there again. From the midfield, from Sob and Mac, the pressure's right there. But we need that defensive side of it as well. Someone who can do the dirty work, let them do what they do. So no, I don't think I'd play Thiago tomorrow, because I think it'll suit his game perfectly, being in possession of the ball and stuff. Newcastle, no, I love Thiago, by the way. You all know how much I love Thiago. But I think that's maybe a game he could sit out of.
For me, Damon, Kev, and Jay, we'd like to thank everyone that has joined us today on this breaking news. Obviously, it's just random, but in the daytime, we just jumped on all for us. I think Kev's on his lunch break at the moment, but Jay again is even on the Anfield pitch trying to work on the Anfield Road stand. But you've cut him off right now. He's got a bit of time on his hands at the moment because he's
just doing my bit, lad.
His company has got into
not all heroes.
He's got a bit of time on his hands. And for us at Alice at Transfer Room as well, Endo, welcome to Liverpool. And I think I'm going to say it right here. Irasaimese, which means welcome in Japanese. Welcome to Liverpool. You will love it as much as we love it, I'm sure. As soon as you play at Anfield, whether it be in 2 weeks' time, or whether even if you play away to Newcastle, you'll hear the Liverpool faithful, and I'm sure you will fall in love with this club the way we have in our lives. Thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you turn your notification bells on as well. We are live tonight at 7:30. Bournemouth preview. Again, I'll be hosting tomorrow after the Bournemouth game for match reaction as well. Up the Reds, guys, and have a good rest of the day.